Next item on the agenda is consideration of a zoning hearing board application filed by Durham Road Partners Group, LLC, the owner of 413 Durham Road. The proposal is for the development of a 27-lot townhouse community, a B8 use. Mr. Fox is here this evening representing the applicant, and I would recommend that the board allow Mr. Fox to make a presentation on exactly what his client wants to do and the relief that they need from the zoning hearing board. And when that is done, I will outline the board's options with regard to the zoning hearing board application.
Good evening. Thank you, Dave. Appreciate Nate Fox of Overmeyer on behalf of Durham Partners Group, equitable owner of 413 Durham Road, which is right next door to us this evening. We filed a use variance for this property, currently scheduled to be heard at the December 5th zoning hearing board meeting, and we're intending to believe we're on the agenda for the planning commission next week, and we're asked to come present our application this evening. We're in a somewhat of a unique situation in that we're asking for a use variance for 27 townhouses, which are shown on this plan here. Single point of access to a cul-de-sac, observing a 100-foot setback from Durham Road, oriented in a typical, what I would call a typical townhouse fashion, units of 5 or 6 to a building, and offset from each other, and that's our essential plan. Also requires some dimensional variances because the property is zoned for professional office. The unique thing about this proposal, and Heath, could I, forgive me, Heath Dumack is our engineer here this evening. Could I ask you to show the, what would essentially be the permitted use of the property? So another option for this property, though it's not what we're selecting to proceed with to the zoning hearing board, would be it's by conditional use, but a permitted use for a medical office building. The medical office building shown here is 24,000 square feet, and parking spaces, 160 parking spaces, some very minor dimensional variances. In a letter, which I don't know if has been distributed to the members of the board, a large distinction here is that the baseline traffic count for a medical office of this size is a minimum of 894 trips per day, whereas the baseline traffic count for 27 townhouses is 108 trips per day. Do we have any of the aerial renderings? So in our thought process here, the use variance is actually a situation where the use of the property through a use variance would be less intense of a use, particularly from a traffic standpoint, and also more in line with the existing character of the neighborhood and the surrounding properties and what we understand are possible future developments. The current site shown here, they were on this side of Durham Road. You could see similar of much larger scale development in the neighborhood and in the area. Our proposal again would be much less traffic and much less intense from a development perspective. We also understand there are residential developments proposed to the rear of us, and also we've provided a copy of the township zoning map. There's a very small area of the township that is zoned similar to this property. It's essentially our property and a property across the street. I think so I should ask, does the board have any questions of us as to what we're proposing or our thought process or any feedback?
Yeah, I think you kind of left out one other use, single-family homes, which I think on this property exists one single-family home on a 5-acre parcel, of which you want to put 27 townhouses on a 5-acre parcel. I just find, you know, this board and past boards have gone through the question of density. Mm-hmm. And when you're talking about density, this is like, I would call it super density. If you were to only build single family homes on there, a front yard, backyard, two side yards, I believe you could probably get 1.5 homes on that particular property.
Dude,
I can answer that.
Yeah, please.
To be on the microphone.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Good evening. We did a series of sketch plans for single-family homes, and what we found is for the townhouse, proposed townhouse project, I believe we need 5 or 6 variances for single-family homes, and we had to design 4 homes total, 2 in the front, 2 in the back, with in essence a shared driveway for the 4 homes. And we had we had 1 less variance required to do the 4 homes than we have for the 27 townhouses.
So you're telling me you could put 4 homes on that 5-acre parcel at probably, would the footprint be about 1 acre per home?
Plus or minus, that's
And
correct.
we're talking about open space that has to be thrown in there, which is additional.
Even single-family home with 2 homes would require zoning relief. You can't do 2 homes on that lot.
Well, I would think that'd be much better than 27 homes. I want to go to the nifty office building that you have there.
The nifty office building.
Yeah,
Certainly.
yeah, because I know that in the past, there's been office building proposals which are now residential, one of them being right across the street, the Lancey Court. And I just find, and this is my own personal opinion, with all the office space available in Newtown right now, every one of us sitting here could have our own office. That's how much is empty. So now people are gonna have to drive up 413, which is it's an out of the way venture, to go to an office building, which you're just gonna put basically almost like in the middle of nowhere. Now, you have 165 parking spaces, of which the quasi-threat here is that they're all gonna filter out on the 413 all at the same time, maybe, which I find unlikely. Now, I find a way to alleviate that traffic impact is to have you connect to our municipal drive and have the people come out onto municipal drive and out to that intersection and maybe make the left and right at that intersection. Now, again, traffic impact has always amazed me because I live in probably the largest development here in Newtown, 1,751 homes, and I've never been backed up at any of the intersections. So, 165 parking spots. And what's the size of the building?
24,750 square feet at this point.
So 1, it would have to be full to capacity, fully rented. 2, every space there would have to be taken. 3, they all have to be leaving or coming at the same exact time to filter out on the roadways. I don't find that highly likely.
You may be right, but that's what the traffic requirements
Well, that's
and
fun. Well,
traffic reports call for.
I mean, that's a very nice diagram there. I like that, the office space,
And-
because I envision it probably being empty within a 2 to 3 year period.
So I just respectfully, I would love to have you come when I'm doing other applications. I know I can't quote you, but 1,750. I agree with you. 1,751 homes. The difference between a residential development and the office development. People generally leave for work at the same time, and you're not experiencing any hardship. What the elevated traffic counts here are based upon people continuously coming in and out of a medical office, and there is no threat. It was just a question of if there's a preference between. Yes, sir.
What I'm saying is, for there to be total impact, that office, and I don't know how many office complexes you've driven around in the Newtown area.
Many.
And how empty you have seen the parking lots, and how many spaces available in those office complexes. This one would have to be the miracle one to be totally occupied, to cause any kind of impact.
So then what you're suggesting is that we don't do the townhouse proposal.
Not
but
right,
we
you're right.
should,
Don't do the townhouse
we should
proposal.
do the medical use.
Single-family homes what's supposed to be on that property. Hey, your option, you want to present that building there on 413. Again, I don't think it has a sale value to it, but that's my opinion.
I think on a property like this, a PS2 zone, I'm not sure why it was originally designated as PS2 during comprehensive zoning, unless the town had thought that maybe it would have some interest in the property at a future time to expand the municipal buildings or something to that effect. But nevertheless, now that it is a PS2 zone, the only type of residential housing that is allowed on here is a single family development, from what I've read. And the question that I have is, I know you're talking about 4 homes. If you have variances, how many homes could you build on this property with no variances right now?
One. What's there now?
Right. And so to propose 27 townhomes on a 5 acre property makes very little sense from except for the developer. And when the additional sketch comes in and it's a threat of a medical use building, that might really be a good use. There's a lot of people in this part of town, maybe they could use a medical building on that piece of property. I don't think that size building would be the right size building, and I'm sure the variances might be hard to come by with the township if the town is against overdevelopment of properties. This would be a perfect property to take a look at and set an example that we're not going to allow this to happen anymore. Come in and propose properties that meet the zoning requirements of the PS2 zone. And if you don't come to town with these. Thank you.
Mr. Sander, I'm sorry. Go ahead, sure.
Thank you. Joyanne Charlton, Newtown Township. I'd just like to echo Mr. Horbal's comments here. I implore you to attend the zoning hearing and to take a position against the development. I think you have a duty to uphold the joint comprehensive plan and also the Newtown area zoning jointure. And clearly this development doesn't meet the requirements of the code. It doesn't fall under any of the permissible uses, by right, conditional, or special uses. The area that they're proposing this development dumps right onto 413 and comprises of 27 homes. That's 27 potential new students. The schools are overcrowded. Busing is an issue, traffic is an issue. So I implore you to attend and take a position against the development.
I'm sorry, did you give your name and?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Joyanne Charlton.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions? Mr. Sander, if the board was of a pleasure to do something, what is our options?
As I noted in responding to Mr. Horbal's question, the board's options are as follows. One, it can take no action this evening. It can thank the applicant for presenting and say good luck at the zoning hearing board. Do not play an active role in the zoning hearing board proceeding. Secondly, it could authorize me to write a letter to the zoning hearing board expressing the board's concerns with the proposed relief that is requested. As I also threw in there, if they wanted to engage in interaction with the applicant, it could agree on certain conditions that would be placed on the approval of the application if the zoning hearing board approves it. That's the second option. The third option is to authorize our office to attend and oppose the application. It sounds like from the line of questioning and the concerns that the board have, you wouldn't be authorizing our office to attend and support the application, although that is an option.
I would make a motion that we have you attend that meeting and oppose the application.
Have a second?
I'd second that.
Okay. Is there like the attorneys say sometimes, a belt and suspenders? Could you issue a letter to plus go and oppose this application?
Well,
is that necessary?
I don't think so. I think that attending and opposing would be the most effective way to further the board's desire at this point.
Okay. Any questions from the board on this motion? From the public? Again, we are sending Mr. Sander to oppose this application, which in essence is defending the township. Correct?
Well, it's,
Is it correct? Is it correct? You're defending the township and opposing this application.
we're opposing the application.
Okay, very good. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Passes 4-1.
Thank you for your time
Thank
this
you.
evening. Have a good night.